monsters lurk in our worst thoughts about ourselves, which I thought was a cool concept of this film. I thought the suspense was very well ramped up with the music and the sound effects in this film, as most horrors like to use in this way. Um, there's no dialogue except for the very end scene for our main character, at least. There is the neighbor boy, but the only word she says at the very end, and that's "I'm sorry," which I thought was very effective for this film, to have her only speak until that moment, until that reveal of, what she really needs to say, what she really needs to um, do and believe in herself in order to vanquish those monsters that she's created. The monster itself, the design, freaked me out so much. It's not a design that's really, I guess if you saw it in your normal life, you wouldn't necessarily be freaked out by it. But in this context, that cartoon face was super creepy, especially in that first full reveal of it behind the neighbor. Definitely gave me a jump.
Explores, at least in my perspective, one of the biggest difficulties of being a creative, in this case specifically, I think a writer, is the isolation that can often bring you. And when we spend so much time internally with ourselves, we can sometimes turn against ourselves and become our own enemy. I think that's beautifully articulated here in a real tragic way, although there is a kind of hopeful undertone to the conclusion that she's able to forgive herself, and that we would hope she's able to get back out there and explore her world and not be so afraid and so self-conscious. But these are all emotions that the viewing audience can certainly relate to.
The pace and the length of the film were perfect. Powerful message. Really great actress. I thought she was very well cast in this and just had great performance, was able to really just lead this film, and she was basically the only one in this film, so it was very well done. She held it up so well throughout the whole thing. Really great lighting, especially in the opening shot. I loved the kitchen. I thought the lighting in the kitchen, the set design in the kitchen, especially for some reason, just really hit me. And the whole set design was great in this location. Facial reactions by the actress were just very well done, not over the top, not too subtle, just right. Really cool when she was hearing the song and it was being distorted and the lyrics really made me laugh, even though it's not funny, because I think, when you're in this situation and your mind and your imagination are all negative, especially about yourself, the lyrics were really powerful, but it did kind of make me laugh a little bit, just because I could relate. Really, it wasn't in a bad way as far as the filmmaking goes. It was a really powerful message, great acting, very well executed all the way around, the editing, the directing, the sound and everything.
And her depression is clear in the beginning of this piece. I get the sense she's been hiding for herself just by how quickly she covers the mirror, which is just true to form of depression. And with every moment she feels like she might have a handle on it, she gets more bad news. It seems like she has writer's block. It seems like things aren't going well for her. And the monster to me represents her inner self-doubt and her inner insecurity. And she sees it every time she sees her reflection. Her reflection is haunting her in a way. It keeps showing up everywhere she doesn't want to see it. And it's a skewed idea of herself that's making everything seem scarier than it is or more daunting than it is. And when we finally see the monster in the hall, it's this cartoon representation of her self, but crying or depressed. And we see her going through all her coping mechanisms and all these means of avoiding it until she finally faces her reflection. And then she sees the truth, which is in fact that all of this is really just in her head. And that's when she's able to conquer it.
Barely any dialogue. Everything was told through action. And the actress did a wonderful job of conveying this young woman who feels highly anxious, I think, and is rejected for work through a letter she gets in the mail. Everything inside her apartment that's happening to her is negative. The music she puts on, the lyrics are dark, and she's typing on her typewriter or on her laptop, and it's typing messages back to her that are negative. I think everything's just coming down on her at once, and she can't climb out and become positive again. She gets the knock on the door from the character, Brandon, checking on her, and that seems to help her jump out of it. She has some disturbing reflections of her face that was distorted in the toaster reflection of the metal, and those come at her too. And then finally, in her own reflection in the mirror is when she's apologizing to herself, like she's saying to herself, I've got to get it together.
A very effective public service announcement style movie that attempts to give a perspective of what it's like